Okay. Oh, I forgot the oh well. You won't see my face today. Sorry guys, I forgot to put the camera on. Go ahead and press pause. Go ahead and write the definition and draw example number 1. Okay. The line goes through 3 and through 2. And then we'll do number 2 and 3. Okay, but go ahead and write the definition number 1 and press play when you are ready. Okay, so we are going to talk about the linear equation y equals mx plus b, how to write it, how to graph it. Now, before we can do that, I really do break up the equation so you can better understand the variables in the equation. Okay, so this is going to be a 3-day lesson on how to write out the equation and how to graph out the equation. Okay. So the first thing you have to understand is I start off with the y-intercept. So intercept, you can think of it as intersection, okay, on the y-axis. So if you remember, the y-axis goes up and down, okay? It's your positives on top, negatives on the bottom. So when I say the y-intercept, it's actually where my linear equation, the line, okay, it says line, it's where it crosses or intersects the y-axis, okay? That's what it is. Now, hold on. All right, sorry about that. Somebody was knocking on the door. So the y-intercept uses the variable b, okay? So it is the letter b, the variable b, sorry, in the equation y equals mx plus b, okay? Now b is, I like to think of it as it's where we're going to begin, okay? It's where we're going to begin later on when we're graphing these equations, okay? Why isn't it y? Well, I already have a y in the equation, and this stands for the y coordinate. So the b is just going to be, where does my line cross the y-axis? That's it, okay? That's the first part I want you to learn or understand on linear equations. Now, all I have to do to look at this line here, I'm going to show you how to do it on the graph and then how to do it in the equation itself. So if you look at this graph here, let me see if I can zoom it in a little bit. Zooming out. It's as close as it's going to let me go. Okay, so if you look at it here, here's my linear equation. Okay, here is the x-axis. Here is the y-axis. So to find your y-intercept, it's where that line intersects the y-axis. So here's my y right here. And if you look at it, it crosses right here at the 3. Okay, so that is my y-intercept. And I will just write it as b, lowercase b, equals, and it's a positive 3 because it's on top. That's it. Okay? That's what you have to understand. Your variable b stands for the y-intercept, and it's where that line intersects the y-axis, not the x, but the y. Okay? So go ahead and draw the second one. If you notice, it goes through the 3 and the negative 6. The 3 and the negative 6. So go ahead and draw that and then press play when you have it. And let's take a look. Again, we're just looking for the y-intercept. So the y-intercept, if you remember, we have the y-axis going up and down and the x-axis going left to right. I'm looking for, when does that line cross the y-axis? So here I go. That's the x. I don't want the x. Here's the y-axis. That is my y-intercept. So this one would be b is equal to a negative 6 because it's below the origin, okay? Below the origin would be the negatives. So it is negative 6. So that means, so what does that actually mean? Well, since I know this is -6, this -6 would go in place of b. So this would be plus -6. Or I can actually write -6. Okay? This 3 would go in place of b. So it would be plus 3. That's what it means, okay? You're finding the parts to the equation. All right, go ahead and draw the next one. If you look here, it goes right through the origin. Okay, go ahead, draw that, and then press play when you're ready. And like always, here is my y-axis. Here is my x-axis. I want to know, when does my linear equation cross the y-axis? So here it is. And that's where it actually crosses the x and the y there. Okay, so the origin is my y-intercept. Now, when your y-intercept is the origin, you remember the origin is at a 0, 0. So your answer is just 0. Okay, it's 0. But if I put this number in place of b, it'll be plus 0. And mathematically, I don't really have to put plus 0. So if you just see an equation like this, that means you're adding 0. That means it's going right through the origin. Okay? I say okay too much, don't I, guys? I'm sorry. So that's how you find them on the graph. You find the y-axis. Now you go through your line, and as soon as it crosses that, find the point, and that is your y-intercept. Now I'm going to show you how to find these on the actual equation, because sometimes they'll give you a graph to find. Sometimes they'll just give you the equation and ask, what is your y-intercept? So go ahead and you can copy these down just as they are. You can copy all of them down. Just give yourself a couple of spaces here, maybe one, because that's where we're going to write the answer. And press play when you're ready. So now we're going to do the equation. So here's my equation. It has to be written as y by itself, then the equal sign mx plus b. If it says minus b, we're going to have to change it, but it has to say plus b. And that's where we're going to find our y-intercept. So take a look at the first one. We have y equals 3x plus 5. Now, if I were to write the equation right underneath it, that's why I told you to skip 2 lines, I would have y equals m is the 3, x plus b. And we are looking at this part right here, because that is the y-intercept. Remember, the b is where we find our y-intercept. So if they give you this equation, identify the y-intercept, you just need to make sure it is in the exact same configuration as this says. The y is by itself. You have m and x together. You have a plus sign and then a number by itself. Okay? So this right here is your y-intercept. So your answer here will be b equals 5. So if you're identifying it on an equation, just make sure the equation is in the right form. And then whatever number is in the b place, that is your y-intercept. So let's take a look at the next one, number 2. It says y equals 1/2 x plus 1/3. So I'm just going to write the equation y equals mx plus b. And take a look at each section. Here's my y, so we're good. Equals, we're good. There's a variable with the number, that's good. The x's are here, plus b. Good. So this right here is in the right place. I don't have to change anything. I don't have to rearrange anything. So therefore, your answer is going to be b equals 1/3. That's all you have to do. Don't overthink it. That's all you have to do. That's what you have to understand on this equation. Let's look at the last one I have here. It says y equals -4x. So again, just to make sure, I'm doing y equals mx plus b. Now, compare. Y's are good. Equal sign is good. There's a number there for the variable. There's my x's. I don't have a plus b. So remember what I told you earlier? If you don't have a plus b, then it really means you're adding nothing. Because if you add 0 to something, you're not changing the equation at all. You're not changing the number. If I do 6 and then I add 0 to the 6, I still have 6. So if I add 0, you're not changing anything. Okay? So now we have filled in what I was missing, which is this part right here. And now I can answer it. B is actually equal to 0. This equation runs through the origin. So if they were to give me a graph or something, I would know, oh, this one doesn't have a y, and it actually goes to the origin. So I'm going to make sure my graph goes through the 0. And it goes through the 0. All right, let us try the bottom ones. Okay, the bottom ones look a little different. So we're going to have to manipulate these for sure. Let me show you why. So I'm going to write the equation. This equation you should have memorized. If not, it's on your star chart at the top. It says linear equation, and it tells you y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to rewrite it here. Y equals mx plus b. Now, if you take a look, the y's are good. You have a number with this x. But look, here I have a subtraction sign and then an addition sign. So we're going to have to change that subtraction sign. If you remember when we were subtracting integers, you remember when we would add the opposite? If I change any subtraction to addition, the number following it changes its sign to its opposite. So again, I had -6. I have to change subtraction to addition, and because of that, my +6 has now turned into a -6. And now it matches. Now I have the plus sign, and then whatever number is in place of b, that's actually my y-intercept. So here my y-intercept is now a -6. Most times whenever your y-intercept is negative, they are going to write it like this with a minus sign. Okay, so just know that if you see that, oh, that's going to probably be a -6. So let's do the next one. Write your formula. Y equals mx plus b. And again, everything matches up except for the end here. So what's going to happen? My negative changes to, my subtraction sign, changes to addition. And my +6 is now a -6. Everybody else is fine. Okay, now I have it correct. And you can see that b is equal to -6 also. So just be careful with those, all right? Or just start training your brain. If it says -6, okay, my y-intercept is going to be a -6. Just start training your brain to do that. Now look at the last one. Something's wrong here. It's supposed to look like this, y equals mx plus b. But if you look, the x is on the wrong side. So we're going to have to move this over. To move it over, we're going to do the opposite. So I'm not going to add 4, 6. I'm actually going to subtract 4x. Subtract 4x from both sides. And when you rewrite it, these have canceled. Now your y is all alone. I now have -4x plus 10. And I put the -4x first because that's the way it's supposed to be written. Remember, your x is supposed to go first. And I cannot subtract 10 and 4x. They're two totally different things. This is a number. This is actually a number with a variable. So I cannot subtract this from 10. So it just stays by itself. It just stays there. So we have y equals -4x plus 10. It looks exactly like it's supposed to now. Y equals mx plus b. And I don't even have to change anything else because it is in addition form. Perfect. And the number above the variable b is 10. So that means this linear equation crosses at positive 10 on the y-axis. So that's all you're doing is identifying. I want you to identify the y-intercept. If they give it to you in an equation, it's whoever is in the variable b spot, or whichever number is alone, really. If you look at the pattern, it's the number without a variable. And if you're looking for the graph, you're just finding where does that line cross the y-axis, not the x, the y. So I want you to go ahead and try this out real quick. Try not to overthink it. I just give you 3 problems and press play when you're ready. All right, let's do the first one. So everything is y-axis. So here's this one. I'm going to go here and boom. There it is. So that is your y-intercept. So b equals positive 2. Positive 2. Y'all did good on that one? Hope so. Now we have the equation. So you remember the equation you're following is y equals mx plus b. So when you wrote that, everything looked good up until this spot. Remember why I told you there's nothing there? It actually means plus 0. So your y-intercept is actually 0. It goes through the origin. It goes through the 0, 0 origin. Alrighty then. Last one. Let me put the formula y, or the equation y equals mx plus b. I notice it's different, so I'm going to have to change it. So the y's are good. The m is good. X is good. Change subtraction to addition, which makes my positive 10 a negative 10. So if you did that in your head and you told me that the y-intercept is a negative 10, that is awesome. That means you're already training your brain to see the minus 10 as negative 10 because we have to change it to addition. So you should have gotten 2, 0, and negative 10. How'd you do? Can't wait to hear how you did at the Google Meet. So if you need more help, come to the Google Meet, but it is that easy, guys. Just find me the y-intercept, identify it, and you're done. But if you do need help, come to the Google Meet, and I will gladly help you. Have a great day. Bye.